beautiful day to be working in the strawberry patch. As you can see right in front of me here is our new strawberry patch. Today is the first day of our strawberry plants. What's going to be our new patch for next year. It doesn't look like much. This is what's going in the ground. So there's really not much growth on there at all, but you can see they're starting to put out leaves. They're wanting to grow. There's a plant there, and we put them about 2 feet apart. And the reason for that is because we let them runner out. We let their runners fill in the gap between each plant. So that saves on not having to plant as much, and it's just a certain way of doing it if you're not planting in the plastic. So we'll plant about 400 plants today, and in about a couple months they'll look like that patch over there. They won't have flowers on them, but they'll be full and bushy.
And we put them in water to get them all soaked up good.
So they transplant a little bit better that way. They come dry. So here I'm going to plant a couple for you. I'll put one in here. Put the roots down. I have a notch on the end there to grab the roots. I push it down. It's about where we want them. We don't want to put the crowns too deep, or we don't want them to be too shallow. So that one actually had a runner still on it. If they're too deep or too shallow, it can kill the plant. The roots could die out if they aren't in the ground deep enough. And if you put them in too deep, it might just choke them out. So we put them to where the crowns are right at the edge of the surface. So right where that crown is right there, we try for that to be right at the surface. Not like that, and not like that. I use this to get the roots all the way down because you don't want them to curl up on themselves. Just keeps the roots a little bit more vigorous. It keeps them from choking themselves out. And then we are planting in about 3 inches of compost here, just aged horse manure that's on top of our rows. That just helps to keep the weeds down. The first year of growth, the most intensive part is actually weeding because there's not much cover here until the strawberries fill it in. Just in about maybe 3 months, these little bare root plants here will be about like this. Now they won't have all these blossoms on them because they'll be their first year, and we'll pinch the blossoms off. But as far as bushiness, they'll be about like this. Here. These haven't not been sprayed at all. But this is the first year for this patch in this spot. So normally the first year or two is usually pretty good until disease kind of comes in with the wind. See all the flowers? I actually just saw the bee on one of them. Well, here we are today in the strawberry patch, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing this time of year. It's in late July, and all these strawberries are June bearing, and so we picked these about a month, well, not these actually, but an older patch we picked about a month and a half ago. And strawberry season does not stop with not picking berries anymore. It's a monotonous system that we do of step by step with a new patch, getting it established so we have nice big berries for next year. And so here's our new patch that we have. We have about 400 plants that we started this year, and we are in the process of setting runners. So I wanted to share a little bit how we do that and why we do that. And the reasoning for do that is we set them to give them nice adequate spacing between other plants, so each plant has a good amount of room to root out and have enough nutrients for nice big berries next year. If we don't set runners, then they can get kind of crowded, and we will probably have smaller berries overall. And as you can see, we've been here and we've set some runners already, but there are a lot of new runners coming off of here that need set. Like this one already set out a root. It needs to be put in. And what we're looking for is, like this one can be set, it's just ready to be set, but what you're looking for, a runner, is you wait for it to kind of create this notch, because that's where the root comes out. So you want to see that notch so you know where to set it, because you don't want to set it prematurely and kind of choke it out. You want it to have that notch so when you set it, it'll send out a root right away. And so here, between these two plants, I'll look at it, and we have two mother plants right here. These are the initial plants we planted, which we call mother plants, and they're about 2 feet apart. And we come through and we set 3 runners in between them. So there's one right here, and we need to put one right here. And so this one's ready, so I'll just set that one right there. And once those 3 spots are filled, we'll look at this straight line and we'll do triangles off of each of those plants. So we'll put one there, put one there, put one there, and that one's already set there. That one actually set itself, so it's nice when you don't have to move one. Right there. And you kind of have to juggle around a little bit to see which runners will fit into what spot. But yeah, that's how we do it. And then once all those spots are filled, we just let the runners go. And the runners that go out of that will be killed off either by tarping or mulching or tilling until next year. And so this is a way of growing the matted row strawberries that I learned, and this is a little bit of a shout out to Suiter's Produce, that I learned growing up from when I was 12. And so we still do that today here. It seems to work well. And we actually have some trials going as well with our strawberries. We have this row here that I just showed you, which was not tilled at all, but we just laid about 4 inches of compost on top. So we're working towards going completely no-till even with our strawberries. So you can tell here there's just compost on top. And the plants actually, I wasn't sure how they responded to that, but they actually did really well. So this was tilled, hilled, and we put about 1 inch to 2 inches of horse manure to mulch the weeds on top of that. And normally, in the past, what we would do in between the rows here, we would just till them during the season. Once we had enough weed pressure, we just till them and just keep doing that. But after a while, I mean, it really compacts your soil and it makes it not have really good drainage and holds the water too much. And this is very clay soil, and so it'd get kind of weird looking color, which is not good for the soil or the microbes that live in it. So this year, we just let it go. And what I do when we set runners, we'll just come through and we'll just kind of pull back the weeds a little bit. And then once this grows up, before it seeds, I'm coming through with a weed whacker and just mowing it really close to the ground. And then at the end of the year, we'll tarp it and kill it off so it doesn't come up next year in the straw. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be a trial and error. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Yeah, you can see, Gabe. Do you see the camera? Can you smile? Say cheese. Okay, do you want to play on the mulch pile? Eat well, live well.